Welcome to CARICOMP Insider, where high-tech facial recognition meets real-world intelligence.
At least 12 people in the U.S. have now been wrongfully arrested because of facial recognition. A 2025 Washington Post investigation found that in 6 of those 8 documented cases at the time, police never even checked the subject's alibi. They skipped the most basic step in detective work. That pattern matters to anyone who works in investigations, biometrics, or digital identity. It matters if you use these tools. It matters if you're ever on the other side of them. The story centers on Angela Lips, the 8th documented wrongful arrest tied to facial recognition in the U.S. She's white, which breaks the assumption that these failures only affect Black Americans. Most previous victims were Black, and algorithmic bias played a role. But Lips' case shows something bigger. The system itself, the human decisions around the algorithm, is broken. So the question threading through all of this is, what happens when courts stop asking, was the match accurate, and start asking, show me your paperwork? Start with Fargo, North Dakota. After the Lips arrest, Fargo's police chief, Dave Zabolski, pulled his department off the facial recognition system run by neighboring West Fargo. His reason was blunt: we don't know how it's run or how it's overseen. Instead, Fargo now routes searches through the state's certified center, a facility with trained analysts and documented procedures. That's not a department dropping the technology. That's a department demanding a paper trail before it trusts the results. And Fargo isn't alone. In Detroit, the settlement in the Robert Williams wrongful arrest case produced what advocates call the nation's strongest police department policies constraining facial recognition. Those policies require documentation at every step: comparison logs, match confidence thresholds, independent corroboration before any arrest. The shift is clear. Judges and prosecutors are moving toward a standard. If you can't show how you got your match, your evidence doesn't come in. Meanwhile, the Washington Post findings paint a damning picture of what happens without those guardrails. In 2 of the wrongful arrest cases, officers ignored contradictory evidence that pointed away from the subject. In 5, they failed to collect key evidence entirely. The algorithm gave a suggestion, and officers treated it like a conclusion. That's not a technology problem. That's a governance collapse. Now zoom out past the U.S. On March 17, 2026, Brazil began enforcing its digital statute for children and adolescents, the digital ECA. The law requires auditable biometric age assurance, meaning companies must prove how they verified a user's age and log that proof. Penalties are severe. Fines up to 50 million Brazilian reais, or 10% of a company's revenue. Brazil's Data Protection Authority can also shut a service down entirely. The guidelines specifically flag facial biometrics as high risk because of surveillance exposure and algorithmic bias. Definitive rules arrive in August 2026 after public consultations. The UK is pushing in the same direction. Its Online Safety Act now extends age verification requirements to platforms like Reddit, Discord, Spotify, and X. The goal isn't to mandate one method. It's to build an interoperable ecosystem: documents, biometrics, encrypted tokens, all auditable, all standardized across borders. So whether you're an investigator in Detroit or a compliance officer in Sao Paulo, the expectation converges on the same point. Show your work. Law enforcement pushes back, of course. Documentation adds friction. Audit trails slow things down when speed matters. But the evidence cuts against that argument hard. The real danger was never slow investigations. It was fast, wrong ones, arrests that destroyed lives and then fell apart in court. Illinois House Bill 5521 would ban law enforcement from using facial recognition and biometric tools outright. But that bill isn't the future. The market is splitting in two. Unregulated, undocumented facial comparison gets banned or thrown out of court. Auditable, logged, certified workflows survive and become the standard. So, in plain terms, police across the country have been arresting people based on algorithm output without doing basic follow-up. Courts and regulators, from Detroit to Brazil to the UK, are now demanding proof of process, not just proof of a match. The question for anyone in this space over the next 18 months is simple. If a judge asks to see your comparison log, your confidence metrics, your corroboration checklist, do you have one? The full story is in the description if you want the deep dive.
Now you know something most people in this industry don't. Use it. And when you're ready to put it to work, caracomp.com. We'll see you tomorrow.